We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi en route to a historic Ukraine visit after concluding a productive visit to Poland, setting new milestones in bilateral ties. US Vice President Kamala Harris to deliver the biggest speech of her life during the finale of Democratic National Convention in Chicago, while Donald Trump visits US-Mexico border in Arizona for campaign. America's space agency NASA to decide stranded Starliner astronaut Sunita Williams and Barry Wilmore's path homecoming on Saturday. India celebrates its first National Space Day, honoring the success of the Chandrayaan-3 mission. Well, after concluding his productive two-day visit to Poland, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi embarked on a historic visit to Ukraine. PM Modi is visiting Ukraine at the invitation of President Volodymyr Zelensky. It will be the first ever visit by an Indian Prime Minister to Ukraine after establishing diplomatic ties in 1992. The Prime Minister is traveling to Kyiv from Poland in a Rail Force One train. The return trip will also be of the same duration. Well, India and Poland have decided to elevate their bilateral ties to a strategic partnership following a meeting between the prime ministers of the two nations in Warsaw on Thursday. The two leaders have also agreed to have a 5-year action plan to take the relationship between the two countries to higher levels while sending out a key message of peace. Both prime ministers highlighted the negative impacts of the war in Ukraine and said that the use or threat of use of nuclear weapons is unacceptable.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi remains committed to strengthening India's global presence. Whether it's deepening diplomatic relations or spearheading peace efforts, he consistently emphasizes dialogue and diplomacy as the path forward. His tribute at a memorial for fallen soldiers in Poland underscores his dedication to promoting peace in the region.
यूक्रेन और पश्चिम एशिया में चल रहे संघर्ष हम सभी के लिए गहरी चिंता का विषय है। भारत का यह दृढ़ विश्वास है कि किसी भी समस्या का समाधान रणभूमि में नहीं हो सकता। हम शांति और स्थिरता की जल्द से जल्द बहाली के लिए डायलॉग और डिप्लोमेसी का समर्थन करते हैं।
His Polish counterpart lauded Prime Minister Narendra Modi's effort to bringing about a peaceful and just end to conflict in Ukraine.
Not only on defense but on various issues, our understanding has enhanced. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is committed to further deepen India-Poland relationship. PM Modi is also willing to cooperate with the European Union. I am confident that PM Narendra Modi will play a very crucial role.
Apart from taking up the Ukraine conflict in their bilateral meeting, both leaders agreed to elevate their relations to a strategic partnership. Discussions covered diverse areas of bilateral ties, including trade and investment, science and technology, defense and security, cultural and people-to-people connections.
फूड प्रोसेसिंग के लिए क्षेत्र में पोलैंड वर्ल्ड लीडर्स में से है। हम चाहते हैं कि पोलैंड की कंपनियां भारत में बनवाए जा रहे मेगा फूड पार्क से जुड़े। भारत में तेज गति से हो रहे शहरीकरण से वाटर ट्रीटमेंट, सॉलिड वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट, अर्बन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, ऐसे क्षेत्रों में हमारे सहयोग के नए अवसर खुल रहे हैं।
Polish Prime Minister Tusk also expressed Poland's eagerness to support India's defense modernization and reiterated the importance of bolstering India-EU relations during Poland's EU presidency.
Poland is ready to take part in India's defense modernization. We have the necessary technological capability and experts. India is global leader in the field of artificial intelligence, and we are using this technology in several areas, including defense.
Prime Minister Modi also called on Polish President Andrzej Duda in Warsaw. Over the past decade, India-Poland relations have seen remarkable growth, with bilateral trade rising to $5.72 billion in 2023, largely driven by Indian exports. As the two nations celebrate 70 years of diplomatic ties, this partnership has been further strengthened by initiatives like the Social Security Agreement aimed at enhancing workforce welfare and promoting mobility. Bureau Report, DD India.
And joining us is a correspondent, Vishal Baristo. Well, Vishal, what are the takeaways for India from the two-day trip of PM Modi to Poland?
Well, it was a very eventful day yesterday with the hoardings of Vitamay Modi, which means welcome Modi in Polish. And Prime Minister had three different events starting from the Jamnagar Memorial, then he went to Kolhapur Memorial, and in the evening he addressed the Indian diaspora, telling them that their presence and their style of welcoming is very nice, and he's quite overwhelmed with the way he was received here in Poland. And he also said that because of their good works, India is feeling very, very proud of the Indian diaspora. And Prime Minister also spoke about what progress India has made despite of all the challenges of COVID-19. He also did mention that despite of the ongoing tension between the two nations, Russia and Ukraine, India is always for a diplomatic solution. India wants peace and stability in the region, and that is why he is here. And he would also be going to Ukraine to carry carry the same message to Ukraine.
All right, Vishal. Also, from Poland to Ukraine, what is there on the agenda?
Well, the official meeting, the bilaterals of the Prime Minister would be held today. He would be meeting the President and Prime Minister of Poland. He would be discussing all the important issues. Remember, this is for the first time in 45 years that any Indian Prime Minister has visited Poland, and this was also mentioned in Prime Minister's address before the Indian diaspora. And he also said that recently I was in Austria. It was in 40 years that any Indian Prime Minister has been there. So what has not happened till now is now happening, because now we have changed the policy. India wants to show the world the way of peace and prosperity. India wants to lead the global south, and not in a way of a big brother, but in the style of friendly neighborhood. And whosoever is in need, India is always there to help them.
All right, Vishal, thank you so much for all that update. And moving on, Ukraine has said that it has used a US-made GBU-39 bomb to strike a Russian platoon command post in the Kursk region of Russia. Ukraine's Air Force released a footage on Thursday. Kyiv's allies, including the United States, are supplying weapons to Ukrainian forces but have imposed restrictions on how and when they can be used inside Russia. Out of concern, such strikes could prompt retaliation from Russia that draws NATO countries into the Ukraine-Russian war. And the International Atomic Energy Agency Director General Rafael Grossi will visit Kursk nuclear power plant next week to assess the situation. The IAEA was informed by the Russian Federation that the remains of a drone had been found within the Kursk nuclear power plant. Russian President Vladimir Putin on Thursday accused Ukraine of trying to strike the Kursk nuclear power plant in an overnight attack. Acting Kursk Governor Alexei Smirnov told Putin the situation at the Kursk plant was stable. And moving on, the fourth and final day of the 2024 Democratic National Convention has arrived as many prepare for the finale movement in Chicago on Thursday. After a week of Democrats' most prominent figures rallying the party faithful, Vice President Kamala Harris will accept her party's nomination during a speech. She is widely expected to offer her vision and policy agenda to the American people. The convention's final night will include remarks from some of the party's most prominent battleground state Democrats. The theme of the final night is For Our Future. The pop star Pink will perform and the Chicks were heard preparing to sing the national anthem inside the United Center on Thursday. Singer Beyonce will also perform on the final night as per entertainment website TMZ. Harris has adopted Beyonce's Freedom as a campaign rally song. And U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren gave an emotional address on a fourth and final day in Chicago in Illinois. While slamming Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Warren said the only bills Trump worries about are from his criminal defense lawyers, while Kamala Harris should be elected as the next president of the United States.
Groceries, gas, housing, healthcare, taxes, abortion. Trust Donald Trump and J.D. Vance to look out for your family? Shoot, I wouldn't let those guys, I wouldn't trust them to move my couch. This election is about your family and your future. I've seen Kamala Harris fight, I've seen her win. And when it comes to our families and our futures, Kamala Harris is someone we can trust. So here it is. With joy in our hearts, let's elect Kamala Harris the next president of the United States.
And for more, we have Caroline Malone joining us from Washington. Well, Caroline, Vice President Harris is accepting the Democratic Party's nomination for presidentship today in Chicago, the final day of the convention. She is supposed to outline a vision and policy agenda for America. What are the highlights to watch for?
Well, absolutely. In the next few hours, it will be really the most important speech of Kamala Harris's life when she takes the stage in front of these big crowds and the millions of people watching at home to really try and deliver a message to try and get enough votes to be president this November. And so far on the stage tonight, on Thursday night, we've heard a good combination of serious and fun, of light and shade. The serious, reflecting some of what we can expect Kamala Harris to highlight in her policies. Things such as tackling gun crime. We've heard from the mother of a Uvalde in Texas gun shooting. That was the mother of a daughter who died in a school shooting in Uvalde, Texas last year. We've also seen on the stage Gabby Giffords, who's a famous survivor of gun crime. Her husband, Mark Kelly, was one of the people that was on the shortlist to be the running mate of Kamala Harris. Didn't make it, of course, because we've got the Governor Walz of the other state of Minnesota instead. But really, we've heard a bit of this seriousness. We've heard a bit about climate change as well. We heard from the first Native American cabinet secretary, Deb Haaland, talking about the protection of land, how Kamala Harris is the right person to do that. We've heard from former colleagues and friends of Harris talking about, her ability to fight for what's right, to fight for justice. Of course, she has practiced as an attorney general, as a lawyer over many years, and that is part of her big experience that comes to the stage. But there's also this fun element too. We've seen from, big actors. We've heard just now from Pink, who's a famous singer here in the United States. And we are expecting to see some more big names in the next few hours. The rumor is Beyonce might make it onto the stage. That's not yet confirmed, but potentially Beyonce, and then of course Kamala Harris herself.
All right. Also, just on a lighter note, wanted to know, there's a very clear fashion trend at the convention. Why Democratic women are wearing white at the DNC?
Yes, absolutely. That's one of the things that's been incredibly important. And I think what we're really seeing here is, in some ways, some of the serious messages that we've seen on stage on Thursday night. And that is underlying what the Democrats, what Harris's campaign have been calling as Trump's racism. One group that we saw on stage was the Central Park Five, as they're known. They're a group of 5 young black men who, when they were teenagers, were accused and then found guilty and put in jail for a crime that they weren't guilty of. They've actually been exonerated since then, but they served 15 years in jail for rape, for harassment in Central Park in New York. At that time, Donald Trump was one of the people who was fighting for the death sentence for these people. He put out big ads in newspapers. And to this day, he hasn't apologized or changed his mind, he said, about these 5 men. So it was very powerful seeing them on stage and talking about their concerns, as many other people have done at this convention, about what kind of president Donald Trump would be, and therefore why, in many ways, they think Kamala Harris is the best person to lead the country forward, because she stands for the legitimate rights. She's a good person, and she will protect all people's rights in the United States, they say.
All right, Caroline, I'm sure the atmosphere there is very electrifying. Thank you so much for all that update from there right now. And moving on, the election war game is on and hot in America. Republican presidential nominee and former U.S. President Donald Trump visited U.S.-Mexico border in Arizona on Thursday, and as expected, he criticized Kamala Harris as a lazy border czar. Trump showered praise on the wall that was built during his administration but was never completely finished. And Arizona men wanted, after threatening over social media to kill Trump, the Cochise County as he visits the U.S. border with Mexico as part of his campaign. This is the latest in a series of threats against candidates ahead of the November 5th general election. Despite this and new threats, Trump said he has great respect for the Secret Service and the job they do, while adding they made mistakes from which they will learn.
And we have a Marxist that's running, and I don't think you can let her. This country is not ready for a Marxist president. She will never build the wall. She doesn't want to build the wall. She's only saying if she changes her mind, it's only because she wants to get elected, because who wouldn't want to have a strong border? You need strong borders and strong elections, and we have neither. But we're going to have very strong borders, and we're going to have very strong elections soon. We had a border czar who was the border czar. She loved the title, but she didn't want to do the work because she's lazy, and probably more importantly than being lazy, she wants to have an open border.
All right, we'll be back in a short while. Time now for a short break.
23 अगस्त को जब भारत ने चंद्रमा पर तिरंगा फहराया, उस दिन को अब हिंदुस्तान नेशनल स्पेस डे के रूप में मनाया जाएगा। भारत का गगनयान भी हमारे स्पेस सेक्टर को एक नई बुलंदी पर ले जाने वाला है।
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on, America's space agency NASA to announce their final decision on Saturday as to whether two astronauts, Butch Wilmore and Sunita Williams, will return to Earth on Boeing's Starliner spacecraft or hitch a ride home with SpaceX instead. This decision could have a huge impact across the rapidly evolving space industry. Starliner launched its first two astronauts into space in June as a crucial test before it can receive a NASA approval for routine flights. But what's supposed to be an 8-day mission docked to the ISS has been drawn out by months after the capsule sprang leaks and some of its thrusters failed. If NASA exercises the SpaceX backup plan, Wilmore and Williams would not come home until that mission's conclusion in February 2025, and Starliner would attempt to return to Earth empty. And India is celebrating its first National Space Day on August 23rd with multiple pan-India events as part of the month-long campaign. On this day in 2023, the Chandrayaan-3 accomplished a major success with a safe and soft landing of Vikram lander on the lunar surface, making India the fourth country in the world to land on the moon and the first one to land near its southern polar region. The central government officially declared August 23rd as the National Space Day, honoring the success of the Chandrayaan-3 mission. While recognizing significant achievements in space exploration, this day highlights several advancements in space technology. Well, it's time to celebrate many firsts and milestones the country has achieved in various domains. India's tremendous space surge is marked by two remarkable missions, Chandrayaan-3 and Aditya L1. Successful launch of Chandrayaan-3 made India the first nation in the world to successfully land on the south pole of the moon, while mission Aditya L1, India's first space-based Indian mission to study the sun, is also making strides. India is on course to mark its territory on the sun as well as the moon. DD India's Sakal Bhatt gets us this report.
5, 4, 3, 2, 14th July 2023. This date marks India's successful soft landing near the moon's south pole, establishing India as the first one to achieve this remarkable feat. The feat of landing a spacecraft in such proximity to the lunar south pole. Chandrayaan 3 is India's third lunar mission and second attempt at achieving soft landing on the moon's surface. On July 14, 2023 at 2:35 p.m., Chandrayaan took off from Satish Dhawan Space Center in Sriharikota. The spacecraft seamlessly entered lunar orbit on 5th of August 2023. The historic moment unfolded when the lander made a successful touchdown near the lunar south pole on August 23, 2023. Chandrayaan 3 is a three-component mission consisting of propulsion module, lander module and rover module. Successful launch of Chandrayaan 3 resulted in major findings of the mission. Chandra's surface thermophysical experiment measured temperatures reaching 70 degrees centigrade. Chandrayaan 3 is significant for the Indian space program, undoubtedly. It makes India part of the elite group of nations, Russia, the US and China, with demonstrated lunar soft landing capability, showcasing its leadership in space technology, including positioning India as a global hub in the new space economy. The reusable launch vehicle technology aids in cost reduction for future launches as well. Within 2 months of achieving a spectacular feat of landing at closest proximity of moon, Indian space scientists took another giant leap. It was time to get as close to the sun. September 2nd, 2023 marked yet another major breakthrough accomplishment for ISRO with the launching of Aditya L1 from Satish Dhawan Space Center at Sriharikota. Aditya L1 is the first Indian mission to study the sun from space, designed to study the sun's dynamics. Aditya L1 spacecraft is equipped with 7 payloads that will observe the sun's photosphere chromosphere. The mission aims to provide valuable insights into the sun's behavior, which will help scientists better understand space weather and its impact on Earth. Aditya L1 spacecraft was inserted in its targeted halo orbit on January 6, 2024. And after a journey of 127 days, the spacecraft reached the L1 point approximately 15 lakh kilometers from Earth. On July 2nd, Aditya L1 spacecraft completed its first halo orbit around the sun, a complex maneuver that required precise navigation and control. Aditya L1 instruments will provide valuable data to help scientists understand sun behavior better. India's groundbreaking mission Chandrayaan 3 uncovering moon's long-guarded secret and Aditya L1 helping discover sun's various dimensions, thus setting the tone for India's mega space movement. As India celebrates its 78th Independence Day, its space prowess continues to cruise ahead to rule skies and beyond. Sakal Bhatt's report for DD India.
And now let's take a look at other stories making news today. The Food Safety and Standards Authority of India has directed all food businesses, including e-commerce food business operators, to remove claims of A1 and A2 types from the packaging of milk and milk products. A1 and A2 are the different categories of milk based on the types of proteins they contain. As India gears up to celebrate Lord Krishna's birthday, a grand lamb donation camp was organized in Vrindavan in North Indian state of Uttar Pradesh. Krishna Janmashtami is a significant Hindu festival that celebrates the birth of Krishna, the 8th avatar of Vishnu. A 2-day-long Kashmir Rainbow Film Festival concluded in India's Jammu and Kashmir. The event showcased a diverse selection of films that have garnered acclaim both nationally and internationally. I'm moving on to some sports news. Star Indian javelin thrower Neeraj Chopra secured second spot as he registered a season best throw of 89.49 meters at the Lausanne Diamond League 2024 on Thursday night. This was in Chopra's first competitive appearance since he bagged silver for India at the Paris Olympics 2024. The 26-year-old was edged out by Grenada's Anderson Peters, who claimed the top spot in Switzerland with a mammoth throw of 90.81 meters. Meanwhile, Julian Weber of Germany came in third on the day with a test throw of 87.08 meters. The top 6 javelin throwers in the season standings qualify for the finale in Belgium, slated to be held on the 14th of September. And England and Wales Cricket Board announced on Thursday that the Lords in London will host its first ever women's test between India and England in 2026. India women team will travel to England for a white ball series in 2025. A 5-match T20 series will be followed by 3 one-day internationals. India will return to England in 2026 for the one-off test. The first match of the T20 series will be played on June 28th, while the 5th match will take place on July 12th. It will be followed by ODI series. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.